Hello, everyone. I know this might come out of the blue for a lot of you because I haven't done a stream in a while. But considering there was no Captain Switzerland stream today, there was the alternative one on Cameron's channel. I will link his details in the box below after this stream ends. But I thought I'd just do like a late night one, which is a general discussion. I'll go through like a few of the issues, obviously. But I'm already joined with Cameron, James, John, Cooper, and Thomas. So say hello, people.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
John Cooper was like so enthusiastic compared to you, Tom. Is that because you've already been on like one stream today? You're just like, I'm done.
Oh yeah, I've been on one already. It was good fun, that one, but yeah.
I know. And actually,
stream fatigue.
This is true. Oh,
and you should know that better than anyone doing the 18-hour marathon stream.
Yep. You know, I may be guilty of a lot of things, right? But the one thing I'm not guilty of is being a pussy when it comes to like being hardcore kind of 18-hour streamer. I mean, what was it? I think it was like 3 channels. Like obviously it was 18 hours, but I think it was over like 3 or 4 channels, including mine, Stizer's. Like it was just.
It was one on Swiss, one on yours, one on Stizer's, I believe. That's how it broke down.
Jesus. My God. Right. Okay. So if we are going to discuss what was in the news today, I just want to open everything up and sort of see who's on. But yeah. Yes, actually, firstly, what are your views on this entire May thing that's popped up in The Guardian? And they're pretty good with this kind of thing. Theresa May's chances of striking an Irish border deal 50-50, say EU officials. Do you think this is scare tactics or do you think this is actually true? Go.
I think we are close to a deal, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are. Will it be accepted by her cabinet or her party? That's another story, but I think she'll get a deal. I do. I genuinely do. But it might cost her job.
Well, but haven't you said that for a long time? But then you've also said that it won't. So, I mean, make out your mind, James. Come on, look. All right. What is it then? Is she going to lose her job over it, or is she actually going to be strengthened?
No, what she'll do is she'll get us a deal, and then she'll be like, right, I'm off now. Someone else can take over. So she will get us a deal, but she won't be the prime minister to implement her own deal. She will, I think, stand down April, May time of next year. But she will get us a deal. That's what I do believe.
Yeah, I've always said that no deal, pretty much from either of the major parties, is extremely unlikely. I've never said it was completely dead, but I've always said that most people wouldn't go for it. Hi Nikki, hello, I see ya. I will sing you a lullaby at some point. James, well, actually, James is our
resident DJ.
Well, he just does. Right, we have Abby Cat in the side chat. She says we need to chuck checkers and Theresa May.
Right, is that the actual Abby Cat or is it just a troll account?
Troll account, more than likely.
We don't know.
Let me check.
Nikki, yes, sorry, going on about singing the lullaby. James always sings us stuff late at night, and we're like, oh. But that's fine. Listen in, all you like.
Name me a song, Nikki, and I will sing it for you.
Oh my God!
But yes, back.
Okay, that's a troll account, by the way. I've just checked it.
Oh, okay.
Well, of course it's a Trolloc. I mean, we know who's sorting this.
But back to Brexit.
Hmm.
Yes, I do believe we will get some sort of deal.
Mm.
I think both sides will have to compromise somewhat on Northern Ireland.
Well, it's not only that. Like, there are so many sort of different things. I mean, it's like it's a bit like I said earlier. Like, I'm so sick of it. I think the vast majority of people, when it comes to Brexit, are just sick of it. Like, it's just honestly,
That's
you
like,
know.
I'm just like, can we just please go on to domestic policies, please?
Yeah, can't we just do something else? I think that's probably part of the reason. I'm not trying to excuse the incapacity of this government, right? But yes, they are incompetent. But are they largely incompetent because this is arguably one of the largest issues, like, of our time? Is that the reason why they're so or are they just incompetent combined with the fact that they have to deal with the largest?
I think it's
A mix of both.
Yeah, I think it's because she knows she hasn't got any political manoeuvring. She's in a minority government. Her backbenchers are getting increasingly fed up with her. So she's trying to keep her party united more than the country united.
And that's why the country's getting fucking pissed off because they're going, hold on, you're not addressing anything.
Because keep in mind, everyone, the Conservative Party has always been party before country.
Yes, we've only been on a few minutes. We've got a good few people joining. This is all good.
Excellent.
Maybe at least for the last 40 years, at least, Thomas. I'm not sure about them pre-Thatcher, but who knows?
But actually, if you think about it, do you think that I mean, I understand that she is literally rock and hard place, right? So like, I'm not a fool, but arguably. But she also can't put it off forever. It feels like to me she's trying to put off the inevitable.
Well, she is the expert, in my opinion, of kicking things into the long grass.
Definitely.
But obviously time is running out, so she will have to get some sort of deal. Her position, I think her position at the moment is if we keep on delaying it, right, we're going to get so close to a no deal that whatever deal I get back, they'll accept
They're going to pass it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a dangerous tactic to use that because obviously if it ends,
crash out,
we crash out on no deal.
They'll be out. I mean, like, apparently, too, countries punish people that economically really fuck up, like countries. Meaning, if that happens, if it's like a 10 to 20 year depression, well, people feel it even more after what they've already done for 8 years.
Yeah,
they're done for.
Oh yeah.
So like,
but it's all worth it because at the end of it, we get our country back.
Ooh, man.
Don't trigger me, please. All right. Just looking at the side chat. Obviously, I saw Nikki called to Abby here. Abby Cat is full of shit, so I'm not going to read that. Bubblefish says, "Good night, good night, good night. Little sweetie pie, such a beautiful day. Rest those beautiful eyes. Good night, good night. Time to turn off the lights. Rest your head off. So dream of this lullaby." Why does that sound really familiar? It's probably something I know. I'm probably just being really dense.
I know.
I love the hashtag third runway for Brexit Britain.
Don't.
I'm not reading this out because I can't. I just can't.
Do you want me to read it out or?
Fine, read it out. Just
Okay,
don't
I'll
expect
read
me
it
to
out
respond.
then.
George Soros is funding the Conservative Party. That's why May wants to remain. I joined the Conservatives to fight for Brexit. Hashtag WTONW.
No.
That's it.
WTO Brexit
Sorry.
now. Hashtag.
All right, John.
Yeah.
Without being disrespectful, can Tom
Okay,
be the person that like reads these out? Because I know that he says it in such a wry kind of way. It's actually hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
Carry on,
perfect
John.
pessimist is what we like to call Tom.
Yeah. Oh, well, I prefer to
So-
refer to him as the depressive realist, but yeah.
So basically, it's just saying like George Soros is funding the Tories. That's why May wants to remain. I joined the Tories to fight for Brexit. Hashtag WTO now. Hashtag third runway for Brexit Britain. Hashtag Boris for PM.
That is
Now-
so annoying. Oh my
Now-
god, that is
Now there's
so...
a couple of other comments. This theme here, it says if there's no
dysthymia.
if there's
Yes,
no
Tom.
deal, the Tories cannot ever complain of Labour crashing the economy.
Oh.
Well,
But what a ridiculous thing. That's like saying, oh, if we slaughter everyone else and only leave one man standing, then they can't blame the slaughter on anyone else. Like, it's absolutely ludicrous. Like, why should it get to that? Why can't people just actually have half a brain?
mhm.
Like, why do we have to leave the European Union? Why do we have to, like, why should we prove this? People should already know it.
Uh-huh.
Well, I guess it's just a matter of principle for some people, Angels.
Well,
I think we've had a vote. Let's leave. The vote was to leave. Let's leave.
nope.
Well, yeah.
I have a vote every 4 years and nothing counts. So, nah. Democracy is fucking overrated.
Bubblebus says it's better to have your own state than it is to be a region in the EU and have your kin in a diaspora. Sorry.
Well, it's actually diaspora. It's a Greek word. But, okay, you are wrong, and I will tell you why. You may have been right a few hundred years back. The unfortunate, well, if you view it as unfortunate, I personally view it as fortunate. But the truth is that things have changed so much now that globalism has reached us whether we like it or not. So drawbridges are not going to work. So therefore, you have to come up with a different approach. Even if you are a nationalist and even if you want to actually, conserve culture and all of this stuff. But, you still want to trade and you're still like pro business. So the way that I would view it is, I would say you have to make compromises, Bubblebus. I know that you hate this. It kan das in her. But like I said, it's upon us whether you like it or not. So you have two ways. You either embrace it and go forward strongly, or you do the whole drawbridge thing and then you retire into your little insular bubble and then bubble, actually. And
by the way, he says, I will fight globalism. I am seeing nationalism winning even in Europe.
I think you're right. I think like people are pissed off with the way that globalism's going as a general thing. What was the thing recently that really bucked this trend? Me and Tom were like talking about it.
The Greens in Germany, perhaps.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh right.
Let's see. Can you imagine it? The first ever Green government.
Yeah,
I think that's more down to the SDP failing more than the Greens' popularity.
Oh yeah.
I would be very sceptical of what the Greens are offering at the moment.
Fair enough. Do you think if perhaps there was a different left-wing party, the Germans would have gone for that? The left-wing Germans would have gone for that instead of the Greens.
Yeah.
Scotland with the SNP.
I mean, most of the Greens' vote share is coming from the SDP. Or is it the SDP?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
SPD.
Yeah.
SPD are coming from them, so that's no surprise really.
Mm-hmm.
He says, Okay, Bibblevis says, I don't mind a growing Green Party as long as they are not Marxists. Have you read
here.
Marx? Yeah, but have you read Marx? It's quite fascinating.
Yeah, I really need to read that book because then I can because then whenever I get called a Marxist, I can say, okay, this is what a Marxist is, and this is what a socialist is.
Yeah, well, I feel like all of these terms really are kind of reductionist by nature. I think that it's so ridiculous to kind of this is why when people turn around to like me or James and go like, you're like centrist, and James like a centre right wet, like, you know, you're just basically pigeonholing someone, which is ludicrous. Like you can easily believe in certain things without having to adhere to all of these like ideological sort of rubbish traits, basically. Bibblevis says, I don't mind a growing Green Party as long as they are not Marxists, but I'm pretty green-minded myself. I have not read Marx. I try to avoid it. Well, actually, if you want to avoid it, you probably should read it. I know that sounds weird, but I've read a lot of things which are not like, you know, something that I would necessarily believe in. But,
would you read a Boris Johnson autobiography?
I would, yeah. Yeah.
Have you read that Churchill one he did?
I did. I've read Churchill's, yeah. I've also read. I don't. Oh, fuck me. What have I have a massive list of stuff that I've read when it comes to like prime ministers and things. Bibblevis says, with nation states, it is still possible to have good internationals, I think he's saying, working together. That's true. Yeah, it is. And like, I don't think that I've ever said that it's not possible. It's just that I critically thinking over the entire thing and that like the potential fallout for what we may face. I decided that it was probably best to remain in the European Union as opposed to leave. He says, I see globalism as a hostile takeover by the wrong people. Nah, see, all right. I love a bit of conspiracy. Okay. I mean, Jack James is famous. I'm a moon hoaxer. I'm not quite as far as flat Earth yet, but by the way, I am kidding about all of those things. But of course, I've read Ben's diaries, Nikki. Yes, I actually bought not the most recent one. I think it was like the second to last or something for my mum last Christmas.
But your mum's a bit of a Blairite, isn't she?
She is, but Tony Benn's like a bit of a legend, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
Well, to some, yeah.
Well, he's also considered a national treasure by the left.
Well, he's no Trotsky, and I fucking love a bit of Trotsky, mate.
Okay.
Oh boy.
The absolute
but yes,
boy.
Nikki, I have read the first two, I think. This was a while back too. This time he says, I'm with you, bub. Okay, so you're a bit of a nationalist too, right?
Wait, who is?
Dysthymia. He used to be called Shafted.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay. Oh.
So anyway, was you going to bring something up about the Mr. Aaron Banks?
Let's see.
Do you know the Leave EU guy?
Oh yes. I was actually going to bring this up. So James, lead it, please. Like just talk about it. Just like
right. Let me get.
This is like an informal. Yeah. Get the article up. But
I can't
literally,
screen share, but I will read it to you guys. I think John linked it to us before.
Oh yeah, it's the RBC one. Then yeah, that would be the one.
I would love to. Oh no, I'm on the wrong one. Sorry. Let me read.
Do you want me to link in this Hangout chat?
Yeah, I've got it up now. I was on the wrong Hangout. LBC. Major Brexit donor Aaron Bank denies cash came from Russia and changes mind about leaving EU. To be fair, that's a bit of a clickbaity title. A major Brexit donor has denied claims that funding came from Russia. Aaron Banks is being investigated by the National Crime Agency after UK elections watchdog found reasonable grounds to suspect he was not the true source of an £8 million loan to an organisation that ran the Leave.eu group. Mr. Banks' funding of the Brexit campaign is the biggest donation in political history. In a series of TV interviews this Sunday, the businessman attacked what he called a witch hunt. He told Sky News, the 8 million came from a UK company, the cash was generated in the UK. I run an insurance business with 500,000 customers. That's the size of Manchester. We employ 1,000 people and we turn over 250 million of premium a year. So yes, he has been accused of getting Russian money
You know what
by
this is, right? This is the greedy Ramonas going after a proud patriot.
Okay.
well,
Now, this is interesting that you just read that then, right? Because, yes, I've read that article and I know exactly what it's about. But we've got some guys in the side chat, like Bibblevis is a nationalist, Dystymia is like a nationalist, as in Shafted is like a nationalist. Now, oh, I gave you a link, Bibblevis, I gave you a link that if you want to read Marx, it's probably better kicking off with that. I've got about 3 of them and I've read them all, but this is probably the one that if you want to sort of get a sort of general grasp, it's probably the best one. But anyway, I don't think, and do you know what's really interesting? Dystymia says, I see dark forces taking over and nationalism could be a way of stopping them. That to me is alarming. You know why?
Because nationalists are the actual dark forces. But
because people masquerade as nationalists, right?
Mhm.
To literally sort of take over and that kind of thing. They are opportunists. So when people are I mean, this is historic too. I mean, I'm shit at like history, right? So I can't give you all of those things, but I do know that it's a sociological fact that when nationalism rises is usually when hope is a bit lost.
Oh yeah.
And so I don't think nationalism is a way of stopping it. I think it's a way of probably making things worse, if I'm honest. But yeah, sorry, I'm just reading through the side chat. But yeah, I actually think that that's playing right. You guys, both of you, I know that Bibblevis is more like right wing than you are shafted. I understand that both of you are like nationalists, but that's from different ways. But it's not the answer to all things. In some ways, it can cut people off badly. So don't like. I'm yeah. Don't.
Oh, Matthew Cooper's in the side chat now. Let's see.
Hi, Matthew.
Yeah, I've read out his comment. I'll read out his comment. It says, France, EU elections, far-right surge. Hate to say I told you so. Bannon is effective. Hashtag ENF surge.
Matt, do you want to join us? It would be lovely to have you on the panel. Well, any of you guys can, of course, join us. But Simon says, I can't go further into what I mean because most people are not ready for it. Well, I'm pretty sure I can deal with it. So, yes, thanks. I copy paste the title and we'll start reading it. Nice, Bibblevis. I actually do have a copy. I mean, I've read it a billion times. I'm more than happy to mail it to you in Nederland. Okay.
In the post.
Welcome, Adam West. one of our
Um,
side chatters, Adam West. Aaron Banks funded the Tory party as well, and this means Russian funds the Tory party as well. Then, yeah,
I
it's
think
not been proven. I mean, I'm not
I
going to
think
stick up for Aaron Banks because he's a shit, but
I think
So-
Russians have had a
David.
bit of fingers in the Tories party. I mean, wasn't there accusations of some ministers or ex-cabinet ministers going to Russia to play tennis or something like that
Yeah.
for like six-figure sums?
I think Boris Johnson was one of them.
Yeah, I wasn't actually going to mention the name because the name that you just mentioned triggers people.
Yeah, people or me. This is
You in
my channel,
particular.
bitches.
But no, it's all right. I was just gonna say, I think with this Aaron Banks thing, to be fair, I've not seen his interviews from.
I haven't either, to be fair, either.
I was just quoting what he said from the LBC article. I mean, to be fair, he's a bit of a slimy character anyway.
Yeah, he's kind of like a Gove, except he's worse.
He's the ultimate swine ball.
At least Gove is like freaking duly elected. This Aaron Banks guy. I mean, to be fair, right? Did anybody really know who Aaron Banks was until because I don't remember him during the EU referendum campaign.
I do.
I don't really remember him.
No, he's always been like a prominent UKIP figure, and that's the only reason why I remember him. I never really remembered him as a referendum campaign person, but I always, for some reason, associated his name with like UKIP. So I must have known that he was like a major donor, I think.
He was one of the largest donors they had. But he actually got suspended from UK.
Right.
Because didn't he try and join the Tories a few months ago?
But
Yeah,
anyway,
he blocked him.
personally, for me, when it comes to this whole Russia thing, it's just boy.
Who's that other UKIP thug that tried to join?
Oh, what is it called?
The one that did the punch up in.
Stephen Wolf.
Stephen Wolf. Yeah.
I think he was successful actually.
Yeah, he did.
What?
He's Tory now. Yeah.
Fuck me, talk about battle scraping. That's fucking hilarious.
Well,
so they literally let him in. The guy that did the punch up in the way.
I don't know.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
No, to be fair, I actually think they didn't. I'm not sure actually. I'm sure they didn't allow him in.
No, they did let him in. I'm certain of that.
Yeah. Anyway, my let's see.
I thought they said no. I thought they turned him down, and also the other guy that wanted to.
I'm sure of it, but yeah, he's a bit of a weirdo. This Stephen Wolf guy, anyway.
Well, he's the one that does like punch ups in the EU Parliament.
And didn't he? And the thing is, didn't he want to be like UKIP leader and then freaking hand in his like papers about hours late?
Yeah.
I mean,
I can't. Oh, I just can't.
It says a lot, really. It does now.
Oh dear. Right. By the way, Mr. Matthew Cooper, France EU elections far right surge. Hate to say, I told you so. Bannon is effective. #ENF surge. Right. You know that hate to say I told you so just suddenly triggered a memory. I mean, I don't know whether this is just that I'm arguably ancient, but there is a song by the Hives called Hate to Say I Told You So. Trust me, it's brilliant. Check it out. Symbios Modestis, what sort of dark forces can a nationalist stop? Yeah, I mean, I would argue that a nationalist could probably stir them up.
The example that Bob Obvious gave was like nationalist Hungary refuses to let Muslim migrants into their nice Christian country. That's an example.
Oh, are we talking Orban?
Orban, yes.
Okay. he's absolutely insane, Bubblevis. So I have no idea what you're talking about. As far as I'm concerned, he is the Dark Horse. So that's that. Symbios Modest also says, I assume that's what is meant. However, I would like to hear what is exactly meant from the person that said it. So yes, we've just explained. He says, okay. Nikki says, Why Marx Was Right by Terry Eagleton is good too. I think that was in my top 5 on Amazon or whatever when I was like looking for it. So yeah, I actually don't have it, but I might buy it.
So, sorry, am I interrupting or?
Well, I just wanted to go through the rest of them. Adam West says, Tories stop investigation into Aaron Banks by MI5, which I'm not really sure about. I have no idea what that is. Bulvis says, copied in. Yeah, okay. So it'll be the second on his list, Bulvis, which is good. Basil has elected a new... Oh, Brazil has elected a new dictator. I think Adam West is trying to say, yes, they have elected a fascist. So good on them.
Hashtag 1988.
Okay, Matthew's just done another comment.
Oh, what's he said? Let me read through it.
Can you read through the others too?
Godfrey Bongo Bloom is back in the Tories.
Right. Yeah,
Godfrey Bloom. I mean,
yeah, Godfrey Bongo and Bloom is back in the Tories.
I mean, Godfrey Bloom is doing, and these UKIPers are doing the inverse opposite of what I'm doing, rejoining the Conservatives to vote for their type of leader.
Basically, turn it into like the new Nationalist Alliance Party. I think they will call it.
Is it Godfrey Bloom that man who like beat up that slapped papers at the Channel 4 journalist?
Yeah, that was him. He was the one that all those years ago said, "Oh, we shouldn't send foreign aid to Bongo Land, and all these bitches are sluts," pretty much.
Is it kind of sad that we missed the days when Nigel Farage was leader of UKIP? Out of curiosity.
I never thought I'd think that. Welcome, Joel Kelly. Nice to see you.
Hello, Joel.
No, mate.
Let's see. Dysphomania says, by the way, I heard Trump is coming to the UK for a state visit next year.
Wonderful.
Is that true?
That'll be another thing to ignore.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, fair enough. By the way, going back to the topic of Aaron Banks, he said he's changed his mind about the EU. He prefers if we stay. Of the article was.
But that's because he's also a businessman, so he's suddenly gone, oh shit, I might lose X amount, so therefore, like I said, it's not principled. It's just
again, that was a clickbaity title.
Fair enough. Sorry.
He said, no, it's fine. He said, Leave campaigner Aaron Banks has said if he had the chance to cast his Brexit vote again, he would choose to remain due to what he called.
I will be right back.
Okay, we'll do that then.
Basically, he's saying if it was a choice between remaining in the EU and May's so-called deal, he would vote to remain because he believes it is betraying the people. May's negotiations. I don't think he's going to come out as a Remainer anytime soon. But who knows? Who knows? But no, I mean, Aaron Banks, again, I don't really see the hype about him. I mean, I'm guessing I know he was a big Brexit donor and that, but like I said before, I didn't really know much about him after the EU campaign. And then he got a bit flirty with Trump in the lead up to the presidential race. But saying that, I don't think when it came to the ballot box, people were thinking about Aaron Banks when they decided to vote Leave.
No. Best him as a foot of Nigel Farage or Boris Johnson or Michael Gove. But not Aaron Banks.
No. I mean, I couldn't tell you what Aaron Banks did for a living apart from talk about Brexit
And the only other people they were thinking of negatively about why they're voting leave, it'd probably be either David Cameron, Nick Clegg, or Tony Blair.
Yeah. Well, no, I was just also reading something while we were talking about that. In regards to the midterms, I'm not sure if you mentioned it on Cameron's stream before, but apparently early turnout voting in Texas, one of the swing states that could go either way, is at record highs and is approaching early voting records from the 2016 presidential race, which is surprising because obviously midterm elections generally have a low turnout compared to US presidential races.
It also depends upon who's going up for it, really,
Well,
who's turning out to vote. If it's the young, then that typically favours the Dems. If it's the elderly, then that favours the Republican Party.
I do know one person from who lives in Texas who supported Bernie Sanders. Let's see, during the thing. So there's so it's possible that it could be a lot of young people. So who knows? I mean, I suppose one other thing that might be why there's such a big surge in these midterm elections, I think, is because after 2016, both here in the UK and the US, I think most people, particularly young people, have kind of gotten the idea of, okay, the voting does actually matter. It does actually depend on something. So we got to get out and vote.
Get the vote out. Yeah, apparently, turnout will be up in the midterms.
They still, by and large, the young though don't vote, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, but I think that at least you're seeing a slow realization that more people are coming to realize, okay, we gotta make our vote matter. Otherwise, our futures are going to be determined by this lot, and clearly we have different ideals of how we want things to go.
I agree.
Yeah, but if you see the recent elections that have been going on in the world, the young are not turning out still. Take our country, for example. This whole youthquake bollocks just wasn't true. The youth didn't turn out to vote. In fact, I think I heard either the numbers were the same as 2015 or they slightly went down.
Yeah, well, yes and no. I think what happened and the youthquake was sensationalized. What happened is the youth was similar levels, the similar amount of people came out to vote, but the majority of them went to Labour, whereas last time it was instead of it being 50-40 Labour, it was now 70-30. So that's probably where the youthquake phenomenon probably risen from. Instead of actually an increased turnout of youth voters, it was more an increased vote share of students voting. Bub Elvis says, "You should not vote. Don't vote, youth. You'll regret it when you're older." No, everybody should go out and vote, regardless of their age. If they are over 18, go out and vote, regardless of which party.
Even if you're just spoiling your ballot paper and just writing a smiley face or just something immature, at least that shows that you are willing to vote. You're willing to get people to pay attention to you. Go out and vote. Otherwise, you're stuck with whatever party or leader you do not like.
As he always says, if you don't vote, you can't moan.
Even do a protest vote and that's still voting.
But yes, it is. I guess it could be good that there is going to be an increased turnout at the midterms. I mean, like Tom said, it could be Donald Trump fans turning up.
It could go either way, is what I'm basically saying. It's not going to favour anyone.
No, we will find that out Tuesday, Wednesday evening. Because the US is weird, because I remember when I was watching the US election, and obviously they're 5, 6, 7, 8 hours behind us, but they were having votes come in at 11 o'clock in the evening, where here we don't get our first votes till 11:30, 12 o'clock. And we don't really know the full picture till about 3:30, where in
Matthew, by the
America,
way, I just quickly want to say, Matthew, by the way, has said, James, you're thinking of the 25 to 35-year-olds. 18 to 24 was roughly the same, which is the point I was making.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Then yes, I know there was a large swing from the 25 to 35-year-olds to the Labour Party. Yes, that is true. But no, with the midterms and US politics in general, it's quite fascinating at the moment. I didn't really take much interest in it. When the midterms were first discussed a few weeks back, I was like, oh, and it's like getting really excited about the local elections when you ain't voting in them. It's like, yeah, it's good to watch, but it's not that entertaining. But as it's gone on, and because it's quite close as well, I think that's what's the most exciting part is because it's quite close. It'll be interesting to see how it goes over the next couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, El Capitano does a stream on it. That would be interesting.
I'd like him to do a stream on it. Let's hope he does.
For me, in my political stance, let's see, when it comes to midterms, I am hoping the Democrats do well, partly because I'd rather not have Trump as empowered as much as he can. But hey.
Yeah, I'll hinder the power of them. But I think Democrats will make gains, but don't do as well as expected. And that's what I think will happen.
I mean, kind of similar to how this year in the local elections, with like Labour didn't do as well as they was expected, all that stuff. The Conservatives didn't do as bad as they were expected.
Yeah, in a way, yes.
I remember that. I mean, after that, everyone was going like in the newspapers, Corbyn peaked as Corbyn mania has finally reached its peak or something. I don't really think that's true, but who knows? I could be wrong.
I think Corbyn's got one general election as opposition leader in it.
Again, fair enough. Go
on. Yeah.
Obviously, you know what I'm going to say. I do think Corbyn peaked. I think he peaked when he got on the stage at Glastonbury last year. I think that was his peak moment. Not to say that he might win the next election, but I do think his popularity has peaked.
I'm not necessarily agreeing to that, but you could argue me being hopeful. But it's the worst thing I think the Tories can ever do is underestimate Corbyn again. Otherwise, they will lose.
Yeah, I don't think they'll run that mistake again. Well, I hope not more than anything, really. But who knows? But yeah, so everyone's confident on the midterms. Everyone's confident that the Democrats will take the House, but the Republicans will likely keep the Senate. That seems to be what the projection is at the moment. But obviously, they were projecting in the 2016 election Hillary Clinton to be president. So don't trust polls too much. That's one of the things.
I suppose the Dems would probably be doing better if perhaps the more progressive wing got a bit more media attention instead of all the Trump-hating lot. Because they just generally tend to suck when it comes to a matter of policy. But hey. Anyway, is there anything else to talk about? Or
I was just going to read a couple of Joel Kelly's comments. Trump will be empowered if the Dems win. He'll pitch left and get his infrastructure stimulus passed. He has also reached out to the Dems over gun control.
Has he?
I haven't. I think he slightly pinched. Well, he does anyway. He's very. Trump is very good at targeting working class USA.
He's improved his rhetoric. Just a couple of things quickly. He's improved his rhetoric on sort of guns, but in terms of actual policy, To steal a phrase which just seems to be a meme at this point, nothing has changed.
I mean, I'm pretty certain if he does get tight on gun laws, he would guarantee lose his support from like the more conservative Republican gun lovers.
Well, take one example. Bump stocks after Vegas. Said he was going to ban them, but didn't in the end. And there's been numerous other examples where other shootings have happened. He said the same thing and nothing comes of it. So he hasn't really improved on that front. His rhetoric has just improved.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to guns, we have to wait like another 20 or 30 years before something can actually be done about it, because I think most young people in America are probably getting sick of their schools and friends being shot at.
As for the working class thing, this is a myth about Trump voters, which seems to be perpetuated again and again, that his victory was a working class revolt. It wasn't. Much like Bolsonaro, if you look at his demographics, the majority of the people who voted for him had income that was above the national average in the US.
Yes, I was going to just say, compare it to Mitt Romney, right? Or compare it to other Republican candidates or previous time. I mean, we can have a look later on. I'm not expecting you to have the statistics to hand now. I'm just going to say that I believe this, I might be proven wrong, but I believe Trump did better as a Republican candidate with the working class vote than, say, other Republican candidates would have done. I'm not saying that the working class came out and voted for Trump. I'm just saying he did better than other Republican candidates.
I think it depends on what part of the United States you're talking about. I'm sure the working class of California, the closer way because Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a mix. Actually,
well,
the term working class is not really used in the United States. We don't talk about a working class.
Well, they call it the Rust Belt sort of people, don't they?
Well, not even that. What Americans concerns are about.
Hey guys, I am so sorry that I've been like so long. I've just had to clean up the kitchen. Anyway, I overheard what you said.
If you look at Romney's performance versus Trump's performance, Romney actually did better in most demographics apart from evangelicals than Trump did. Trump overwhelmingly won evangelicals compared to Romney.
The reason that is because Mormons look down upon evangelicals. And Mitt Romney was a Mormon. What I was going to say is that the Americans don't use the term working class. You can see the phrase of the Republicans in the election. Talk about the decline middle class in these so-called Ghostbusters. That's what we're talking about. And that's pretty much what we're working with. It's probably the lower middle class. Actually, the turnout in American election was over 60%. It was quite low. I should remember that one. Actually, lots of the so-called Republican people in America don't actually go out and vote.
But the point I was making basically is that the Trump movement is not a working class movement. It's a white middle class to upper class suburban movement of people guarding what they have, much like Bolsonaro's supporters.
Good question for you guys. You think if Hillary Ritzy campaigned in the Rust Belt, because I heard she didn't really do that, or chose someone else other than her running mate, was that, Tim Kaine and someone a bit more left-wing, do you think she might have just slightly managed to have won the 2016 election, or you think she was always going to?
I think that I don't think it was.
That if she...
Carry on, Tom.
I was just going to say, if she had picked a progressive candidate such as Sanders, it's possible that she would have done better, but I still think she would have lost at the end of the day, because she didn't do any sort of proper campaigning. And if you look at her campaign ad breakdowns, she talked about policy 25% of the time and made most of her campaign about policy. And if you look at when she actually did campaigning in the states that she went to, which, by the way, were majority safe Democrat seats such as California and Washington anyways, It was all about identity politics rather than the economy. Up until 1 week before the election was held, she didn't even visit Wisconsin because she had the viewpoint of, oh, they'll vote Democrat no matter what. Kind of like what Labour did with Scotland for many years.
Uh-huh.
To read out some comments, then Joel Kelly said, "Did you remember the Queen behind the fridge?" Don't know what that's in reference to. Bernie Adam West says Bernie would have beat Trump. I agree. Bubblevus says, "Quote: As three separate migrant caravans slowly made their way north through Mexico on Saturday, newly arrived U.S. troops worked away a barbed wire fence along the Texas side of the Rio Grande. Rio Grande, I should say."
I think I saw a Facebook article. I think I saw an article on Facebook about some, let's see, far-right militants becoming inspired by Trump to go and border the Mexican borders and stuff. I don't know.
Those people, while they've been emboldened by Trump, have always done stupid shit like that. They've gone to like the border with guns to shoot people.
Mm-hmm.
She only lost by a few thousand votes in about 3 or 4 states. Well,
All right, I'm sorry, but Bubblebis says okay. Bubblebis is a lot more like nationalist than the average person. I understand that he's extremely unusual for Holland too, which is also fine. But to bring up that kind of thing, I mean, those people are freaks. Like you know, you don't turn up there and sort of be. Having said that, you voted for.
I don't think he's talking about militias men. I think he's talking about U.S. Army soldiers.
Right.
He also said, "I would like the Rio Grande Great Battle of Out Times to be streamed."
Our times, I think.
That's, yeah, our times. Oh boy.
Ooh, here we go.
What do you want the Rio Grande to be basically a battle royale style conflict?
No, I'd like the Isle of Wight to be one personally.
I have had a message from Lord Captain of Swiss.
Good.
I sent him the link to the hangout. He says,
"No, it would be nice." No.
Yes. Sadly, he can't join us. He's in bed after working.
Well, I can show up in the side chat then.
A big massive F to Swiss. But he says, "Say hello from me," and he will catch us all in the week.
Okay.
So yes,
Hello, Swiss.
He's passing on our regards if he's lurking.
Mm-hmm. He might be lurking. If you're lurking, Swiss, say hello in the side chat of my channel, please.
But no, yes. So it should be an interesting week, really, especially with the midterms and Brexit secret deal 2.0.
No. I mean, is this actually true though, or do you think we're always just like overplaying it? We're always like, "Oh, this is going to happen," and it never does.
I think it's a media overhype, really. I don't think it's going to be anything special.
Well, we can't really overplay the midterms as they're actually happening, but the secret Brexit deal, possibly. I don't know. We will find out. There was rumours that we would have a November summit in the 12th of November. Will that go ahead? Who knows?
Who knows? I would laugh if this one turned out to be even more controversial than Chequers.
Well,
yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, Swiss is being overworked and underpaid. # Tory Britain.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it.
Well, it's true.
No, it is true. That's the reason why I said it.
So, out of curiosity, do you have any other articles you want to talk about, Angels? Because I do have a few from like the Sunday stream that I could send you if you want.
I guess we should just finish up the articles that we didn't cover on the Sunday stream today.
Sure. We can do it. I mean, I will be around for probably about another half hour or so. So yeah, sure. Actually, what I'll do is I will give Tom. Well, I'll give all of you admin rights, and then you can just like share, and then I'll highlight you. So hold on.
Right.
Spanners for all.
Spanners for all.
Share control.
Let me just check.
Okay, James Field. I think you already have them. Yeah.
I have a spanner.
Oh yeah, I have a spanner as well.
Spanner for the many.
Not the few.
Not the Jew. Are you kidding? We have to have a nice dose of anti-Semitism.
Hold on.
I'm kidding, for fuck's sake.
Whenever when it comes to Labour and Sam to airs and now.
Hold on. I didn't say Jew. I said few.
Let's see. This is what I once said. I think I said this once. A no spanner is better than a bad spanner.
All right, you're wrong. Because no spanner is the bad spanner.
Okay. In terms of two other comments from Matthew. Matthew says there are only 3 caravans because the bug one has split up. Will take over a month to get to the US. Probably be in the hundreds rather than the thousands in the end. And then the average Joe says
our average Joe.
Yeah, our average Joe. Did someone say spanner? And then Bubblebus goes, Matthew is a lonely, spannerless chat dweller.
Oh.
To be fair, he does make a good point. Why does Matthew not have a spanner?
All right, sorry. Hang on.
Same with Average Joe, for that matter.
Especially him. Yeah, all right. There you go. You have a spanner, Matthew Cooper.
Yeah.
Average Joe, you also have a spanner because I love you.
John Cooper.
Not that I'm at all gushing. I mean,
Mr.
Yeah, I've just sent.
He sent 2 articles, Mr. Cooper. If you want to highlight them.
I'm sorry. What was it last bit?
I was just going to say, if Angels wants to highlight, bring them up.
I will. Yeah.
One's from the New Statesman, and one's about Theresa May and a toy policy that I'm pretty sure Mr. Fielding can get behind.
My first spanner.
All right. So, who do I have to highlight?
Nice average spanner.
No, bring up the articles.
Oh shit! No. I wasn't going to. I thought someone else was.
Do you want me to do it? I can do it.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. I can. Let's see. Should I share screen or?
Yes, share screen, and I have highlighted you.
Let's see.
It should be fine.
Share screen. Share. Can you see my screen? Okay. Do you want me to start with the New Statesman or this one about Theresa May? Okay. New Statesman. Until they regain party members' trust, Labour rebels will struggle to achieve anything. This is done by Stephen Bush.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you might.
I know about him.
I know him. Yeah, he's very often on like the papers and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, he's a decent guy.
He's quite reasonable too. Like he's enough skeptic of like Corbyn to make a bit of sense. I mean, he's probably to the left of me, but he's a decent guy. Anyway, carry on.
I think I recognise him. Let's see. Most Corbyn skeptic MPs are in the incoherent position of being against a party split, but against making the best of things either. The most important thing in politics is to be trusted. If you aren't trusted, then anything you say is disencountered. Jeremy Corbyn provides one of the most striking electoral examples of this. Labour Party policies are popular with almost everyone in the electorate, but broadly, the 40% of the electorate that agreed with Corbyn's policies and trusted him to deliver them voted for Labour, while the remainder of the electorate, which agreed with Corbyn's policies, but crucially did not trust him to deliver them, voted for someone else. One of the problems that Labour has is that hardly anyone in Parliament is trusted to criticise the Labour leadership. That means that in areas where the party policy is cowardly, drugs, which are mentioned just once in the 2017 manifesto, in the contents of hiring more border guards, but the incomplete prison policy, where Labour's ambitions extend to no further than merely well-funded versions of the status quo, or simply missing in action. Anyone know what the Labour policy on universal credit is at the time of writing? There is no challenge. Labour MPs, whether they want to change a specific policy or party's direction, have the same problem. As a class, a Labour MP criticising a decision made by the leadership is about as popular as a typhoid, and they aren't trusted either. This means they cannot effectively lobbying change to party policy. Why aren't Labour MPs trusted? They are victims of decisions made by, in no particular order, Labour MPs in Jeremy Corbyn's first shadow cabinet, Labour MPs in June 2016, Labour grandees during the 2000 Labour leadership campaign, Labour and Labour leadership candidates in 2015, Tony Blair, Harriet Harman, and themselves. Last night, 20 Labour MPs have rebelled over party decision to back the tax cut for people earning above £45,000, which will see the point at which you're starting to pay taxes of 40p in the pound move from £45,000 to £50,000. Crucially, the revenue forgone by the Treasury is more than enough to pay the benefit cap, which Labour's 2017 manifesto kept in place. It also means that, assuming that Labour wins the next election, by the end of Labour's first term, younger people's earnings, £50,000, a salary that puts you in the top quartile of earners, would have been handed a 29 cent cut in their taxes, once the abolition of tuition fees is taken into account. I've spoken to most of the 20 rebels enough to know that all of them are genuinely committed to poverty reduction. In the last fortnight alone, I've written 4 pieces about the select committee work of just one of their numbers, Yvette Cooper, that has exposed the damage done by universal credit to lone parents and to women in abusive relationships. But because of that hangover of bad decisions and choices made in the past, very few Labour members believe this is to be the case. In most cases, that isn't true of Labour MPs in their own constituencies, where their standing tends to be considerably better. Unfortunately for Labour MPs, very few have been able to change their position nationwide, though there are some exceptions, including among the 20. Labour MPs will often ask why they should care. Mike Gapes made exactly this point on Twitter last night. The answer ought to be obvious. The only way Labour MPs can change their party's position on these tax cuts is if they can persuade at least 50% of the membership to agree with them. If they don't want to do this, their best course of action is to split off and form a new party. The trust problem is particularly acute in this instance because, with the exception of David Lammy, Roger Goodsif, Lisa Nandy, Martin Wakefield, and Helen Jones, all of the 20 Labour MPs to vote against the 40p tax cut abstained on the second reading of the welfare bill. Nandy, on maternity leave at the time, was not able to vote against the bill, but wrote a blog explaining her position to Harman's stance on the bill. The 2 votes have a lot in common, ultimately because Labour lost the 2015 and the 2017 elections. Neither decision made any difference to whether it passed. The impact is solely positional. The blunt truth, if you are in a opposition party, is that how you vote rests on 2 questions. Can you defeat the government, and how does this vote change your hopes of replacing government in the next election? The aim of the 2015 welfare bill abstention was to show that the party had learnt the lessons of the 2015 defeat over welfare to avoid boxing the new leader, whoever that they turned out to be, in over welfare. The aim of the 2018 tax abstention was to avoid the party being seen as a party of taxes on ordinary people, and to allow the Labour leadership to go into the next election with the same line on taxation as it had at the last. In neither case could the party defeat the government. The consequences of the vote were solely positional. There are numbers of perfectly good reasons to vote for one but not the other, and there are numbers of them held by those MPs who abstained on the welfare bill, who voted against the tax cuts, but none of them have done a very good job of publicly articulating what has changed for them. And because of this, they have not established trust with party members, and as a result, they are unable to influence party policy on tax. When I made this point on Twitter, the Labour MP Lucy Powell argued that this tactical question didn't matter. She said what mattered was her being able to look at my constituencies in the eye, and she wants to make a difference to those who need me to stand up for them. But the trouble is, she's not making a difference to those who need her to stand up for them, because in the real world, the package of continued austerity and tax cuts that benefit the better off passed the House of Commons. And if Labour wins the next election, then as it stands, the party's policy platform is going to be committed to maintaining these cuts, sending another large chunk of revenue in the direction of the upper quartile of earners, with the abolition of tuition fees, and very little in the way of spending outlay for people hit by the universal credit rollout or the benefit freeze. The only way that MPs like Powell are going to make a difference to that is if they are able to become more influential within the Labour Party, and if the party goes on to win an election. It's difficult to see how these 17 votes last night moved the 17 Labour MPs closer to either objective. However, one feels about the welfare bill. It came about because Harriet Harman did understand correctly that the way MPs make a difference is by passing laws wielding power to change the conditions experienced by their constituencies, not by asking themselves whether they needed to be able to look at their constituencies in the eye. Okay, that's the end of the article. So, thoughts?
Pretty much.
I
Fine.
can go first if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So because I'm not an economist and these tax cuts have been hailed as something good by certain economists, but then also have the direct opposite from others, I'm not sure that I can comment on that too much. I obviously would fall into the camp of providing it, sort of essentially benefits all of us, then I will back it, but I don't know enough about it to comment at this point in time. What I'll say about the whole like Harriet Harman thing and stuff is that if she's playing the long game and saying, look, we're going to abstain for now because we think it's going to pile pressure on this in order to make this work, then yes, do it. Because it's a fucking dirty game. And like, I would back them the entire way. Like, I don't think it's principled. I mean, you already have like, we have the likes of Brandon Lewis, who's like head of the Tory committee, like whatever he is, head of like membership, screwing over like pregnant, about to give birth, Joe Swinson. Yeah, just to get an extra vote. Like, you do that, gloves are off. I'm sorry, dude, but that's it. So, therefore, yeah, fuck them over as much as you can. Like, I honestly welcome it.
In the guy's defense, and I hate to have to fucking defend that pikey bastard, but I'm gonna have to do it. Is that pairing agreements are constantly broken by all political parties, regardless of your flavour. That I honestly, to the point they're broken so often, I don't see
point in
why they
them.
even bother, because there are countless examples on the Wikipedia page about pairing where each party just breaks it. So Labour has been paired up with Tories, and Labour whips have told them to keep voting regardless. Tories have done it, Lib Dems have done it, SNP have done it, everybody's done it. It doesn't justify it, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying this is not unique to Conservatives.
Fair enough.
But they're particularly bad.
Oh yeah, they are the worst out of all the other parties, but it's not a uniquely Conservative
Because they're
issue.
desperate, that's why.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a minority government, so every vote counts.
I know, isn't it wonderful?
Is that why they were so desperate to make sure that the 16-year-old vote did not pass?
Isn't it great that we know that they're going to be buried soon?
Oh yeah, it would be yeah.
To read out a couple of comments from people in the side chat, Average Joe has said, I agree with most of the article in that Labour need to create a detailed policy on welfare and prison reform, but I feel like the so-called major split within Labour over tax cuts is overblown. Miles Lawrence has put out quite a few things. I know right. Meanwhile, no Tory Islamophobia probe, no racism one, no anti-Semite Nazi costume loving probe, no IRHA adoption, etc. election rigging. Average Joe says, I would favour keeping the tax cuts for the low and middle class. Low and middle income earners, but reverse the tax cuts for the £150,000 a year tax bracket, like what John McDonnell says.
Yeah.
And then Miles goes
John
saying,
McDonnell, but yes. Also, Miles Lance, no offence, but what the hell are you talking about? Like, it might be just the fact that I'm just being really...
he's talking about basically, they focus heavily on anti-Semitism in Labour, but completely ignore rampant Islamophobia within the Tory party and
Oh,
additional
right.
racism.
Oh yeah.
stuff
Oh,
like that.
true. Oh, true. But then also, Miles Lance, what I might add, and Thompson Williams, you might want
His
to
name
make
is
note of
Ronald
this.
Lawrence. Don't call him that because an idiot decided he can't pronounce
There's-
his name correctly.
He's like, he knows me. It's fine. But might I just say that actually, what is the whole? So you're saying that there is like fundamental problems within both of the major parties. So like, therefore, Islamophobia within the Tories and anti-Semitism within Labour.
Yeah,
Basically,
basically, he's saying the coverage is incredibly disproportionate towards Labour and
Well, of
barely
course.
covers the Tories.
Yeah.
well, the coverage might be, but the Met Police have investigated,
Yeah.
are going to investigate over, I think it's 47 or 48 claims of anti-Semitism
Yeah. I read about
within
this
the Labour
too.
Party.
Yeah.
I mean, both parties have been investigated by the coppers for doing bad things.
Yeah.
I mean, the two cases are not comparable, I know, but Tories with election rigging with the 30 like MPs that were investigated for that, and now you've got
they
this.
were they were again.
They were not convicted; they were just investigated.
They were investigated, and one is still in court. He was in court a few weeks back.
Yeah.
He, by the way, the one in South Thanet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
What's his name? I'm just gonna go.
Anyway,
that's where Farage complained about. He got
Uncle Nige can return.
Uncle Nige. Okay.
So, Mr. Cooley, what's your sorry, go on, Cameron.
I'm gonna say with tax cuts, they're not actually confusing. Now, what they are, if you look at the statistics behind them, you notice that most of the cuts are actually not to low incomes, which is why this is very controversial. Actually, much of the cuts actually go for people over 80,000. I mean, and that's why it's so controversial and confusing, because the tax cuts also apply to low income households or under a certain amount. I think it's under something like 16,000 or something like that.
What's annoying too is that even like free marketeers or people who believe in a relative kind of free market and stuff still aren't like I'm not really happy with them, but I'll take John McDonnell and fucking dead Philip Hammond's word over mine, but even then I'm a bit like I did a shitload of like reading up on it too. I was like, oh, okay, I'm not sure whether this is like the right way forward, because as the entire sort of narrative goes, austerity has ended and all of this. Now, I don't believe
bollocks.
I don't. Like I said,
renege on the promises. They're already doing it. Pensions. They're already doing it in local authorities. The lies about giving austerity will make them the toilet leader. They lie again. They're not reversing the measures of austerity.
I don't think that it's going to save them now anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Austerity has that ended.
They are done. This is our time that we go, do you know what? They're out now, like whenever the next general, bye. Like this is literally it.
but in the meantime, we've still got to deal with them.
Well, we don't really, do we? Because they don't really do anything. So we just have to sort of, we just have to exist. Like we don't have to be.
I suppose they were like in the waiting room saying, "Come on."
When are they out? Like when are they? Yeah.
Well, I was just going to read a bit of polling.
All right, baby. But even if you do, you see what I'm saying. When are they out?
The problem with it is that I mean, we talk about their incompetence a lot, but their incompetence does make people suffer. So the fact that Chris Fayling can't do basic infrastructure,
Yeah.
And the absolute disaster that is universal credit are just some examples.
And they're still going ahead. And
By the
all
way-
the Brexit, like, none of the NHS stuff that was meant to be focused on is being focused on because they don't have the time, because everything is through this ridiculous, non-applicable shit, which is called a referendum, which we don't like, is not at all like legally binding. So fuck off. Like,
I'm just going to read a bit of polling from.
All right, before you do that, what are your thoughts on the article, Mr. Fielding? Because you haven't yet to give your thoughts on it.
Oh, on the Labour Rebels.
Yeah.
Well, my opinion on the Labour Rebels they are absolutely, totally, utterly useless. If they really dislike Corbyn and really think he's absolutely useless, then they should resign from the party, and if there is enough of them, they can become the opposition.
right.
I'll just read some polling in regards to the budget, because I know we just discussed a bit of the budget just then. Now,
I know what you're going to read. I know what you're going to read.
No, it's. I'll just.
Go for it.
Do you or do you not believe Theresa May when she says she will end austerity? Now, 15% say they do. 58% say they do not and don't know at 27. Do you think universal credit overall is a good or bad policy? 19% say it's good, 41% say it's bad, and neither or don't know is 39%. Now, this is my interesting one. Who would you rather run the economy? The Conservatives on 38%, Labour on 36%, and don't know on 26%. Who would you rather ran the economy? Theresa May and Philip Hammond on 40%, Jeremy Corbyn and John McDonnell on 34%, and don't know on 26%.
Wow, that's actually a lot closer than I thought.
Yeah.
I mean,
must have got bad.
People find Hammond competent.
He's not.
Competent 44%, incompetent 34%, and
bless you.
And don't know 22. And
Yeah.
John McDonnell, they find him more incompetent, with 32% finding him competent.
Yeah, but then, we are
41%.
talking about the UK electorate, so,
I sometimes wonder with certain people within our society, when they say things like that, and when they say, "Oh yeah, Hammond's competent and McDonnell is incompetent,"
Yeah.
are these the people who, if they went down to a construction site and they saw that the builders were mostly drunkards, and the other group of
or
people,
the alcoholic fish, for example?
or for example, the builders. So you had one building team that was just average but not drunk, and then you had another building team which was filled with drunkards. This public's reaction is, I'm going to back the drunkards because I can't go with the average people because they look like geography teachers, so they're bad.
I mean,
idiots.
I told you this a million times. When did you stop believing in me? This is true. This is exactly what we have to expect.
Because it's the disagreement is, I don't think it's the majority. It's a big big minority, but it's not the majority.
I think for me, it's just more of the public being just willfully ignorant. And
ignorant. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I fully
I won't
expect
dispute
them.
the fact they're ignorant. I'll say that much.
So I don't hate them per se. I just know that they're willfully, absolutely ignorant.
At times, I guess for me, it's just I get a little frustrated by how little they're paying.
I don't anymore, because I fully expect it the whole time. I said, "Oh, this is going to happen. I was right. This is going to happen. I was right. This is going to happen. I was right again." So I don't understand why you people constantly go to me, "Oh no, not everyone's like." Well, why do I keep getting proven right then?
I don't know. Anyway,
President Trump, Brexit, all of this bullshit when it comes to our shitty political situation. Pretty much everything, I'm right. So come back to me.
A majority of people didn't vote for this. I'll say that.
Right. Well, come back to me when I'm not right.
Okay.
That's what I'm
The only
saying.
time I recall you said you were wrong is you did not expect Labour to cause a hung parliament in the last election.
I actually was wrong then. Yes, I was wrong then. Admittedly, I said that I thought that the Tories would, because of our ridiculous voting system, but not because they would do well. I knew that they would do bad, right?
Okay, I'll read through some comments then. Right. Oh, yeah, here it is. Hey, austerity has ended. The Queen's getting a pay rise. Well, Shafted says, it's a joke how Greywing is still in his position. Miles goes, and now May just keeps us all in the customs union or a customs union. Well, Labour policy nicked again. Bobovus goes, gonna watch Marx. Shafted goes, 19% of universal credit is a good thing. Well, who'd have thought? Bobovus says something in Dutch. Average Joe says, I wish Corbyn would have a bit of a cabinet reshuffle. Number one for the chopping block would be Diane Abbott. Promote some fresh blood into the cabinet. Ignorance is bliss. And then Miles goes, well, pretty much it is.
Yeah, that's my point.
And then
Miles Lance says...
And then Miles goes, confirmation bias is a dangerous thing. Next, the world is flat because Angels is wrong. Lol.
All right. First of all, Miles Lance, you are actually not right because I do not think the world is flat. But you can see exactly what I'm saying, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to an extent I can. So I'm trying to also slightly trigger you at the same time while agreeing with you.
It's just absurd. Like like the whole sort of thing is just like, well, you know.
As I say, there are some people in our society who literally you just need to give them a polling card which has a permanent tick in the Tory box because there is literally nothing the Tories could do that would make them lose their vote.
How's about if they literally were not even a government like now?
Well, I mean, literally, they'd still back him. Like, the Tory party could fucking go and get a bunch of orphans and puppies and kittens and set them on fire with a flamethrower.
And there are fucking morons who would still...
fucking pensioners go, oh, where's the blue box? And fucking tick it. And it'd be like, is there anything that this party could do to lose your vote? Or are you so hopelessly deluded that you'll just back them no matter what they do?
Okay, look.
I don't want the geography commie in charge.
Look, Right. So this is why I say what I say, which might like piss off people, but it's true. Miles says, use me and abuse me. Maybe later, darling. But like when it comes to like the whole sort of, oh my God, I'm going to put where's the Conservative box? Right. I saw people bust in, like old people from old people's homes, bust in to vote for Philip Hammond. And I was like, wow. Like a few of them did actually vote for my dad because that was in my dad's like ward. So obviously I rushed over, helped him, and then rushed back to mine. But I was like, wow, this is like insane. And we did manage to sway a few people. Oh, do you know, bless his soul, guess he voted for my dad before he passed? Bruce Forsyth.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who that is.
You don't know her, Sue? What?
What?
You don't know who Sir Bruce Forsyth is?
He might be one of these people where if I see what he's done or if I see his face, I'm like,
what? No, I'm sorry. Right. What?
Have you ever heard of the TV show The Price is Right? Well, did he present that? Right, he used to present that when it was big time. You'd have seen his face.
Oh, now I know who
He
it is.
used to
I've
present
looked him up.
Strictly Come Dancing as well.
Yeah, I've looked him up. I recognise who he is.
Was he the one that was knighted by the Queen? Or
Yeah, Sir Bruce Forsyth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who he is now. There you go.
So, just to get back to the side chat, Lawrence says, "Shots fired." Where's where's Tommy?
It is quite a good thing to have somebody like Bruce Forsyth voting for you. That is interesting.
Well, it's not really. I mean, like he just knew that the local government was shit. So there we go. Mars Lance says, "Wart, wart, wart."
What?
Mars Lance says, "Wart, wart, wart." I don't really know.
Also,
That's a reference to Hitler, I think.
Oh, is it? All right.
Yeah.
By the way, did you read out Average Joe's comment of bus passes would be the killer?
No, I didn't. But now
I
you
don't
have.
even
Yeah.
think that would do it in. I really
I'm not
still
even
think
sure.
I still think they fucking vote Tory at that point because they took away the triple. They said they were going to take away the triple lock and do the dementia.
They did that bucket of sick thing, like
and
they did like
80% of pensioners still went. Where's the
blame box in it? Yeah.
Like, honestly, it feels like it would be very interesting in 30 years later when when most of them are probably not going to be around during that time to see how different the electorate will be. I wonder, let's see, with the people that are currently 40, 50 and all that stuff, and they become pensioners, you think they will vote Tory, or do you think
well, the pass thing says yes, but I'm not sure now. No.
It's possible that they've become just so toxic for the more young
generations, exactly. Yeah.
Let's see that the best thing they're going to do when it comes to right wing is vote Lib Dem.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, my ideal parliament would be Labour in charge with the Greens and the Lib Dems as the official opposition.
It'll be Callum Ferguson.
Anyway. Should I get on to this other article I have? Or?
You can do after I read out the rest of the side chat. So Symbius Modeste says, agreed, this has been one chaotically shit government. It has indeed, and it continues to be, which is, I mean, can you even, Symbios Modeste, I think you came over from one of the other channels, Swiss's, but also...
There's one positive that comes from this terrible government. The only positive that comes from it is... when we're all old, we'll be able to tell stories about how terrible this government is.
The good thing about it is Matt Hancock's meme.
Yeah, Matt Hancock's memes. Yeah, this is true. Yeah, yeah, absolutely appalling. Miles Lance obviously did the what thing. Joel says, "Nice to vote for you." Oh, I see what you did there, Joel Kelly. I see exactly what you did there. Average Joe said big chin. I think he's not referring to me. I mean, I have a really small chin, so I think he's referring to Brucey.
Yeah, I think he is.
Mars Lance says the price is right. Oh my god, lol, that's hilarious. What, that Bruce Forsyth voted for my dad? Yes, it is fucking hilarious. OMG. Elite Talk, you don't play Halo as stated. I personally don't. Was that towards someone else, Joey?
No.
Sorry, Miles.
That's it. Anyway.
Because I said it was a reference to Hitler.
Oh, right.
Anyway,
would you? One question from Average Joe here. Would you rate Theresa May as one of the worst prime ministers in history? Yes.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Hands down.
Without a doubt.
I would rate this. This is quite painful for me to actually say, but I would rate David Cameron worse. However.
There is only one aspect in which David Cameron wins over Theresa May, and this aspect is the fact that, unlike May, he actually won a majority.
Just.
Even though it was just
It was a
barely, and it
small
was the most
majority, but it was a
messy.
majority nonetheless.
What was his percentage?
36%.
30 odd.
Fuck me.
36.
Then fuck him. No. Do you know what? In which case,
yeah,
fuck
I
him.
know, but he'd still got a majority, whereas Theresa.
That's only because of our
lost
fucked
it.
up voting system.
Right.
Like, he's still irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. He's an absolute fuck up. And the fact that he called this, and the fact that we are in the state that we are now, it's all on his shoulders. I'm done. Like, he is by far, like this, like I said, this is his Iraq. And he has to own it. Whatever happens from here on out is on his shoulders.
Yeah, but he's fucking like eaten toff, so of course
I
he's
don't
never
care.
gonna own it.
I hate him. Like, I
Do you hate him more than the Sunderland woman?
Let's see.
I mean, are you trying to burst my blood vessels? I don't know.
Angel's blood vessel. Should I try and go to this article I found from iNews about Theresa?
I hate him. Like, if he never came back to politics, it wouldn't be soon enough. Fuck off. Like, you've already plunged us into this. You either we're going to own it then, or fuck off forever, please. Like, just go to the Isle of Wight, somewhere where you can just die.
Anyway, should I do this article now? From iNews.
Sure.
This is probably one that Mr. Fielding's kind of enjoy because it seems to be like a good policy from what Theresa May is doing. Anyway,
Okay, I will highlight you then, John. Yep.
enough. Theresa May considering cutting tuition fees to £6,500 following a review of higher education. A review ordered by Theresa May into higher education could see tuition fees fall to £6,500 per year. The article is done by John Felicius. Only a five. Oh, that's just the building. So university tuition fees could be cut to £6,500 under a new set of proposals from a body established by Theresa May to look into higher education reform. The Treasury is understood to oppose the suggested reforms on the basis that it would miss out on the £3 billion a year if fees were reduced. While universities would either have to cap student numbers to reflect their failing revenue streams or get by with 1/3 cut to their budgets, University Vice-Chancellor and higher education experts have joined the Treasury in condemning the proposals, claiming that a cap on student numbers would harm social mobility in the country. While an MP might want to cut tuition fees. Let's see. But Theresa May has been under political pressure to bring down the cost burden on students, not at least as a result of pledges made by Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn. Speaking ahead of the 2017 general election, Corbyn said he would deal with student debt, and he is on record arguing for tuition fees to be abolished. His pledge was enormously popular and contributed to Labour making big gains in their vote share among young adults at the last national election. Now the Prime Minister has ordered a review of post-18 education in order to win back votes from younger people. What could be in the review? The review has led to former Equitis bookers Philip Augrey, and its final report will be brought on to the Department of Education in January, 1 year after work on it began. An early draft has suggested that fees should be between £6,500 to £7,500, with the Treasury subsiding the drop-off from £9,000. One senior figure called to believe that Chancellor Philip Hammond would agree to such a move naive. And several university sources have made clear that they believe that the proposals would step backwards for a higher education system. Top Tories have also previously argued that any reduction in tuition fees would hit poor students hardest. At that moment, poor students do not pay their full student debts, and universities are compelled to spend a certain amount of income on widening participation schemes. It is not clear if EU students would have to pay internal student rates under a new system, with Britain's departure from the EU scheduled for March 2019. Internal students pay anything from £9,000 to £35,000 to study in Britain, depending on the course, and the average internal student will pay £12,000 per year for that education. What experts say, vice chancellors are also thought to fear that their funding becomes a treasury issue if they have to compete for money with schools and nurseries, leading to cuts. One source added, if it becomes a choice between dying babies and medieval French, universities will miss out on vital cash. He said it puts funding on universities in competition with health and defense. Over time, it would be insane to think that we would keep all that. They would have to do something to limit the cost of public purse, so that would lead to a number of controls. How do you do a 5-year forecast if you don't know how many students there are? Let's see. With current revenue streams, universities and
Bloody hell, this is long. Let's skip
sorry.
the last bit. We can.
Sorry.
It's all right. No, it's fine. It's fine.
With current revenue systems, universities generate 9.5 billion per year, and it's forecast to rise to 14 billion in the next 5 years due to the rising student numbers. A government advisor said, I'd be perpetrated if the Treasury was supposed to make up a short tail. When it views first universities up against other departments, they tend to lose out. That's why tuition fees were introduced in the first place. But senior university source sounded a note on caution about the reforms. We're getting to the Tony Blair blitz, so I think we're nearly into this article. He said he'd be really surprised if what we were seeing in the final recommendation, it's the start of the process. The thing about tuition fees is that all the alternatives are worse. Tony Blair introduced the tuition fees with a pledge in 1999 to send half of Britain's youngsters to university. Tim Bradshaw, who is chief executive of the Russell Group for Leading University, said, reducing funding for teaching would impact directly on the student experience, leading to higher students to staff ratios, less hands on the lab and practical work, and student services stretched to past breaking point. If these reports are correct, students, parents, and universities will need a cash-and-eye guarantee from the government that will introduce teaching grants to fully cover the shortfall and meet future demand. Alistair Jarvis, who runs the body that represents vice-chancellors at UK University, said, a fees cut might grab the headlines, but would leave a serious funding gap. A Department of Education spokesman said, people are rightly concerned about value for money. That's why they were reforming the system to make it fair. We already have to increase the repayment threshold for graduates and are open-minded about in our approach. And that's the end of the article. So, yeah.
Right. Okay. Where to start here? Okay. Essentially, should fees be up? Are you joking? I'm pretty sure that nobody that votes anyway believes that. So yeah, of course they shouldn't. Even the Tories were like, "Oh look, we're gonna freeze them, and then we're gonna look at them," and it's like, that's not enough, dude. Like, what the fuck? So I think, look, I think they need to be lowered, but I agree that this is not the right way to go about it, and don't do it so quickly, because at the moment it might impact people like the wrong way. I'd want to see a bit of a study into how it's going to impact people before I'm just be like, yeah, great, lower it. Like what does that mean for individuals? Like, what does that mean for people, who essentially, like, sometimes they're like looking for grants, who are, doing various things. So I need to know more stuff, basically, before I can
just get rid of them, because I tell you what, the state could just subsidise them that
they could do, but we need to make sure that we do that first, is what I'm saying. Like, it's not they could do, and they did throughout our parents' time, right? But
and it was the same people that got the free that voted to get rid of it.
Yeah.
How ironic. Let's walk up the drawbridge and put.
Fine.
Let's walk up the ladder and take the ladder with us.
Fine.
That's the mindset of these people.
Yeah, but you're the crazy lefty, and I'm the one
going.
You're
the one who's insane.
No, Cameron, I'm like the one going, look, I am going to sort of take things day by day, and and let's try and be more reasonable about the entire approach, because
there's nothing reasonable charging for education.
No, of course not.
If you just loan it slightly, is anything reasonable? It's not.
No,
fact-
but I don't want to do it quickly and then fuck the
Because you
economy,
won't.
basically.
No, you won't put the economy. That's ridiculous.
Well, no. But what I'm saying, you know,
From investment from the state, it does not put the economy.
but it does fuck individual universities.
No, it isn't, because you need to specify from
Well,
the
it
loan,
did with
from the loan, which is never paid to the state.
okay. It's not
That's
never,
ludicrous.
often not.
The issue that people have is that too many people go to university. That's an issue. That's the issue with it. Not the fact that there's a fee or not.
Okay, I still think that you're being very reductionist.
No.
Yes, I do think that.
There's no legitimate idea to have any sort of fee for education.
Mm-hmm. So, what are your thoughts, Thomas and Mr. Fielding?
Mr. Sleeping, I think.
Well, I think a drop in tuition fees wouldn't necessarily be the end of the world.
I don't mean it right now. If it can't be proven that it's going to do well, then
Well, people make the argument, well, if they can drop it to 6,500, why can't they drop it to nothing?
different. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I think when they raised tuition fees to £9,000, I honestly didn't really see the problem with it. Like,
okay.
What? Please explain what the problem was with it. More people are going to university than ever before. The payment.
Than ever before. More people don't pay back their student loans than ever before. This is ridiculous. This is just a jingle.
Yeah, no. But the payment system back on tuition fees is better than it was. Now, if you, like I've said before, if you do not earn
you have
over
lots
20,
of smeared around your ass, and then you have slightly less smeared around your ass, that's still better, right?
no,
So,
what I'm saying is, if you earn £23,000, over £23,000 a year, you only pay back, I think it's something like £9 a week.
but I'm not concerned about that. The whole thing is like, obviously, it was. Of course, it was a complete fucking jab. Like, I can't understand how somebody with a straight face can sit here and say, yes, this was a great idea. Like,
Well, why? I'm not saying it's a great idea. I'm just saying I don't see what the problem is with it. That's the thing I'm trying to say is they rate it to £9,000 a year. First of all, it didn't deter anybody away, right, from university. In fact, like I said previously, more people are going to university than ever before, right? Second of all, if you had a drop in tuition fee, say to £6,500 or £3,000, you'd more than likely have to put a cap on how many students can go to university. And then that would be a problem. Because what would happen then is you would have a lot of students who wanted to go to university who can now not go to university, who would then not be able to get their aspirations. They could not be able to become a doctor, engineer, whatever.
That's quite ridiculous. So with tuition fees, more people are going to university, more than ever. So what those who get rid of tuition fees, all it's simply do is a person away from the individual, which is really never to be paid. So it goes back to the state anyway.
Exactly.
And you switch it.
By taking away work-based courses, vocational courses, by cutting this and that, more people are going to uni now ever before. Yeah, because now to be a nurse, you have to go to uni. That's fucking ridiculous.
Look at this quite carefully, actually, because it may actually save the extra check of money. McDonald and cover people with this claim is possible simply because you get rid of the interest payments. Remember, the student loans company was privatised,
Yeah. No,
right?
that's true. But
And
yeah,
it may be actually more the cost of the benefit. Maybe it's even.
Bubble says, I'm wondering if Cameron's mic works fine. No, he kind of comes and goes.
I can hear Cam fine.
No,
I'm close to it. Right, is it better now?
Yeah, I think it's fine. It's just sometimes it does actually come and go. He's right. I have a really bad flu today, says Asim, bless him. I feel a flu, says Miles Lance. Not Lawrence, Lance, right?
Lance. I was just gonna say, on you touched the subject of people now have to go to university or something of that sort. Well, first of all, we have record amount of, again, I'll reiterate this statement. We have a record amount of people going to university than ever before, and we also have record youth unemployment in this country than ever before.
Record youth unemployment, or do you mean employment?
Employment.
Yes.
In this country than ever before. More than our EU counterparts in the great Western states of France, Germany, Spain, and Italy.
I have one thing to say to that. There are lies, damn lies, and statistics.
There's one thing about that one. What jobs are you been employed in?
Because from what I understand,
that's why I said there are lies, damn lies, and statistics. Obviously, like if you have growth as bad as ours, and if you have like wage stagnation as bad as ours, and like if you have like a record high of people literally not being able to get their own homes because their credit rating is so bad, you know you're getting something really.
I tell you what we're doing wrong with the education system. Now, what we're not doing is training.
I told you, people are fucking dumb. I'm done. Do you know what? Until this lot of fucking clowns who are stumbling along as undead fucking puppets, until they sort it out, I'm off. Can I come back when we have a government, please?
Right. See, the major problem with all this is that we're not training enough nurses and doctors. We actually have a system that actually deters people from going into those professions. And this is a major issue. So giving tuition fees would encourage them to go. Reintroducing nursing benefit or bursary would help. What's we're doing in education is actually deterring these people from becoming skilled workers. We're sort of doctors, sort of GPs, sort of nurses, sort of midwives. But we should actually, particularly in these medical courses, should not just pay for them to go. Not pay for the tuition, but actually pay for them to go. Literally, what should we do? That's what we should do to encourage them because we've got a lack of them. I'm just what we need to do because a lot of people complain about is importing nurses and doctors abroad. Well, the answer to that is why don't we train our own as well?
Mm-hmm.
It's probably why the NHS is a mess. Probably why actually nurses work such tiring hours. They work 12 hours, and when you vulnerable people, that's setting. It can be kind of dangerous.
Oh, again, one of the big problems with the NHS is, though, Cameron, is that it is used so much as a political football. Anytime somebody tries and gives ideas of trying to change the way the NHS is, it is talked down, and all what we have to talk about is how much money we can invest in the bloody thing.
This is why it's such a mess because one party does one party, then they get out of power, and another party does something else. It tends not to be a general single direction. Like you should go in. That is having it run independently by doctors, not by politicians.
Mm-hmm.
And just have fun in terms of government.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, with the NHS is like, and I am fundamentally not for privatising the NHS, but I do believe that the problem we have in society nowadays, and this is mainly down to how the political parties view the NHS, is the Labour Party view it as, right, we must invest so much money into it, and it sounds very great when they say, right, we'll put 13 billion more extra than the Conservatives do. It sounds fantastic when people say we should give more money to this and more money to that. Of course, but the thing is, throwing money at it isn't the solution.
You're saying like a bottom-up sort of
Well,
reorganisation of it.
yes, it's just throwing billions and billions of pounds at it won't solve the crisis within the NHS.
I understand that, but I still think it's doable. Like, you don't have to
No,
turn to
but
privatisation.
again, okay, right, okay. How much money should we? How much should we invest in the NHS to make it
How long is a
sustainable?
piece of string, James?
Exactly my point. Nobody knows. That is exactly my point. Nobody knows how much
we will
should
know
invest.
after independent analysis. So let's have somebody do it, and then we can
Well,
sort it
okay,
out.
right. The independent analysis said we should have an increased funding of 2.2%. And in fact, the Labour Party in 2017 manifesto says the NHS could be sustainable with a 2.2% increase funding within the NHS, right? So what did the Conservatives do, right? They didn't raise it by 2.2%. They are planning to put an extra 3.8% more into the NHS.
Simultaneously, whilst flogging off a bunch of like shit that they could have kept. So it's basically this is ridiculous. This is basically like cutting off your arm and then putting a plaster over like sort of a stab wound. It's absolutely absurd. Like, they have been doing this consistently for years. I went to a talk on this, James, and I will send you every single bit of information from it. And this is by Dr. Louise Irvine from the National Health Action Party. She actually stood against Jeremy Hunt when he was still Health Secretary in Southwest Surrey.
Mm-hmm.
And it was probably one of the most eye-opening lectures of my entire life. Now, I was there with obviously my mum, who worked for the National Health Service for 45 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that makes me know both sides. So I know that it fails in certain areas. I know it's not efficient in certain areas.
My dad's a carer for the NHS, and if he was sat here right now, he would agree with me that the NHS and social care services are mismanaged, but throwing money at it simultaneously isn't the solution. It simply is not the solution. Throwing money at something will not work, because if you throw more money at the NHS, there'll be another crisis in the winter and they'll want more money and more money. And what happens then is that the Chancellor of the Exchequer will not run out on money, but will demand to have a raised taxes on certain people. And will that be the top 5%? No.
I know one area where it works, James.
What?
Being a Tory.
What do you mean being a Tory, throwing money at something?
Yeah. You throw money at a Tory, they fucking love it.
I wish I had money to throw at people. But no, throwing money at something sounds great on paper, but in practice it simply doesn't work.
Why do you think I've said that it does have to have restructuring, but by starving it consistently of money is not the right way forward? Like, are these people insane?
Right, okay. So what does the Conservatives offer? They offer a 3.4%
I don't care. What is it per...
you might not care about it,
what
but
is
tough
it
shit. If you don't like it, lump it.
What is it per patient head?
I'm saying, okay, so these independent analysis people who you keep on quoting saying we should listen to them.
Okay,
right?
Do we have social care, or have they flogged it?
Will you let me finish my point?
Will you answer that though? Do we have social care now, or do we have bed blocking? And do we have like constant?
Well, the problem with bed blocking results back to the Labour PFI deals that they ran in the early 2000s.
How long are we going to go back to this?
Well, no.
Look. Well, this is ridiculous.
Well, just shutting me down won't work, right? What I'm saying is that
it's true though.
NHS bed blocking stems back from one of the main reasons stems back from the Labour PFI deals when they built all these swanky new hospitals, which we are still paying for now and which our families will still be paying for in our next generation. And it's solely down to them because they built all these swanky new hospitals and didn't put enough beds in them, right? And that was a problem, right? So
actually, the one thing I will say,
as the population gets older, obviously the NHS, the elderly generation needs the NHS more than the younger people because they get ill more.
We also have more of them.
Mm-hmm. So what I would say is throwing money at something sounds fantastic, and the independent analysis people says the NHS would be sustainable on a 2.4% increase per year. The NHS, not social care, the NHS, right? So the Conservatives offered to raise it by 3.8%, and guess what? It's still not good enough.
Because social care used to be involved in the NHS until guess who sold it off?
Well, the NHS.
Your lot. So
What do you mean by?
sorry.
Can you tell me what? Okay. Can you tell me what?
So we
Where
used to
did
have
they
a lot
sell
of
off the?
state.
Where did they sell off the social care?
So we used to have we used to have a lot of like state elderly homes that were literally funded via the National Health Service. In fact, I have multiple sort of documents directly from my mum, actually, that can like back it up and all of this. It actually, the reason why I know it is that I used to go there and visit them. They're now gone. These are gone. They're flogged off. This is privatised. This is flogged off.
But just saying, I know people who work in the NHS won't convince me to change my mind. My father, if you want to go down this argument, is a care worker and has done it for 30 years. And
we don't have to. I'm just saying, you want to flog off social care when you have a problem when it comes to like tons of elderly people like reliant on the National Health Service. The first thing you do, flog off social care. You fucking nuts. Like that is basically rule 101 in how to be a fucking retard. Surely. No, I'm sorry. It's true. Like, oh, look, we've got an aging population. We have a National Health Service. We have social care somewhat kind of ingrained within it, not entirely. What do we do? Oh, yes, let's flog off everything that looks after old people. I mean, no wonder why Chris Grayling has a cabinet position.
Should I change the topic to something else? Because I think Blood Velvet linked an article earlier in the comments, which is about your own news about how.
No, Joel Kelly says my mum works in the NHS and knows it's a matter of if, not when. So, did you mean when? Like, did you mean when, not if? Like, meaning it's like sort of it's likely to be privatized. Let me know. Yes, Shafted. I'm kicking off a little bit. I normally don't, but this is really pissing me off. So
see, Mr. Fielding's just got a call, so you got your 5-minute break from arguing with him.
So this time in the social after it says, "Holy shit, Angels, James getting feisty." Nah, me and James love each other really.
Yeah, but it's just, but it's exciting seeing you two actually argue. I have to be honest. It's a bit different from seeing you and Cameron argue all the time.
Me and Cameron don't really argue.
No, I was making a joke. But you two argue like a married couple.
We are going to be married one day, right, Cameron?
Well, of course, yeah. One day.
So, what else do we have to discuss?
All right. I just want to pick up on what Joel says. Joel, I'm interested that you said it's untenable as it is. You mean the current setup, meaning we can still keep it as a public service, but as in it needs to be sort of very well, efficiently run, basically. Okay. What would your, just out of interest, because I think you came over to us from one of the more sort of libertarian sort of channels. What would your sort of views be? Would it be more like sort of, like, for example, the German top-up model or the Dutch one, which is essentially like, obviously, stuff like say somebody has an injury, then they're immediately treated. That's fine. But then they have a top-up model for stuff like hip replacements or surgeries. And then they carry kind of essentially insurance for that, but it's not like the American model, which obviously fails. Is that what you would kind of go for? Just through interest. Jeff Bezos asked from his HQ. Okay.
I think the senior left voice was saying a few things about tax cuts because Mr. Feelings like all for it. Right.
Right. Oh, the tax cut. What you mean, the Trump ones?
I think no, the ones that I think it was. Let's see, let me just get. But where's the earliest one?
I mean,
Sorry,
it's difficult for me to comment on that. Like I said, because I'm not really an economist. I'm not convinced by it, but I'm sort of a bit.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Carry on. Read it though. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna find the earliest one he did. Let's see. Some of it's just him making red Tory James or something like that, or renationalized stuff. Let's see. Oh yeah, here's the one. Let's see. 50. Let's see, just 1 minute before 1 o'clock. James has no problem spending money on tax cuts for the multinationals. I think that's what he says. He says, "I'm for tax cuts. You should be too." And I think it went further on, saying, "I have no problem with the current tax levels. Just don't lower them further. Deal with aggressive tax like VAT." And he was going, "I would support a tiered corp tax system like income tax, with the highest rate at 25%."
Okay.
And
which, by the way, is next to nothing.
Yeah.
No offense, James. It's true.
Yeah. He goes I think it's show me where raising corporation taxes made out tax receipts increase. I'm not sure, but that's where the end of it went. But hey, I just figured I'd try and change the topic.
Yeah, lowering corporation tax has increased our tax receipts since 2010.
You have to throw allegedly in there.
There's no allegedly about it. It's
you might get done by David Cameron. But no, also, I just wanted to say, Joel says, this has actually been fascinating me. He says about the health service, the Continentals actually have it right. With the, I told you, Jones, about not all alternatives to the NHS are like America, right? So he says so he says the Continentals have it right, and I'm like, oh, what you mean? I'm thinking Holland and Germany. I've been toying with it. I do think it's a massive vote winner in this country, though. I don't think that we could really change it anyway. I wouldn't want to see the end of it either. I don't know about you guys, but I think I'd probably feel like I'd lost something.
Oh yeah, you end the NHS and you're bound to lose.
You'll be out of you'll be out of government for about 20 years.
They'll be literally right.
Yeah.
No,
but then Joel also adds the US is the worst combination of private and public. Yes, so basically you spend a shitload for really bad healthcare.
Well, in the American healthcare system, if you can't afford it, you die. Pretty much everywhere in Europe is like, am I going to live? While in the US is, can I afford to live?
But is that such a bad thing? I know that sounds awful, but if Donald Trump was my president, I think I'd just deliberately run out of healthcare.
Is it because of all the stress or?
Well, yeah, I just feel like, are you kidding? I'm done. Bye.
Fair enough. Who knows? I suppose with Donald Trump, he'd find some way to muck it up. But yeah. Which is why I think, let's see, hopefully that for Democrats, they need to really be clear on the whole Medicare for all, let's see bills and plans if they want to win future elections. But
listen, what I will do is I am going to wrap this up. I will go on the other just off-air stream. Guys, in the side chat, obviously the people that are here already sub to my channel. If you want to join, if you're on Twitter and you want to join the bullet chat, This is basically a group chat that Swiss created quite a long time back. And if you aren't in it already, it's kind of chaos. I mean, all of us, there's kind of daily arguments and God knows what. But if you want to be added, add me on Twitter. I will put my Twitter right now in the side chat. These other guys are on it too. I'll put everything else in the description down below after the stream. So obviously you're more than welcome to join our off-air hangout, which we have going literally 24/7. So as in to the point that we sleep on it. So but yes, thank you. And thanks James and everyone like Tom, Cameron, John, and also everybody in the side chat. You won't need a gun. No, our gun laws are actually quite strict, unlike the lunatics in the States. But yes, yeah, you might need to sort of get a load of shit from time to time. But honestly, I reckon you guys will love it. So add me on Twitter, and I will speak to you guys soon. I love you lots. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.